So, in some ways, because I survived it, I'm thankful that my dad and mom both had mental health issues. We still can't talk about it, but my dad was really smart and he got into William and Mary, but they sent him to the military and he went to Fork Union to get control of himself. And then he went to William and Mary and couldn't stay, had to go. He went to the Marines and very proud of him. He did that. So he was just having a tough time with mental health issues. But we didn't really define it or diagnose it back in the 50s and 60s when that was going on. He didn't have any help. Therapy? I don't even think that existed. So I don't blame my dad for his illness. I mean, some of it was tough. He was loving as a child, but then as I got older, it was tougher for him. Um, so he was really controlling about weight. Like he was real proud he stayed thin and didn't get fat, and that's a control. And he actually said he'd divorce my mom if she got fat. And so I didn't really feel lovable if I got fat. And so not only was there images of models with super happy lives on covers of magazines, and one of my best friends was had millions of dollars, and she was very petite. So I just had a bunch of stuff going on in my head about being happy, and so I thought I needed to lose some weight, and I did want to become a model. So why did to be worshiped? I mean, to feel good, to have people like me. Um, It was a bizarre way to get liked, but I'm pretty tenacious when it comes to doing stuff I want to do. And I did become a model. And as I look back, I see every girl that I see that age is beautiful. So why did I feel so special to get my photograph on a magazine? Um, Silly. And I did go in a hospital for eating disorder because I had managed to learn how to throw up all my food and not eat. So I became engaged in a process to continue to lose weight because it felt good. It felt like I was accomplishing something. And when I got down to 107 pounds and my aim was to get below 100, they put me in the hospital. And I stayed a long time. But the wonderful thing about this was I met so many other people with psychiatric issues, across the board, many, many different disorders. And we would have group therapies where we talk about it. The doctor, they don't do that. They need to do that more, have group therapy with people in hospital. And the doctor, the brilliant mind of the hospital would sit with us for an hour every morning and we'd talk about if you wanted to. You didn't have to talk if you didn't want to. Um, of course, he did focus. I do remember he would focus on one patient each day and say, let's talk. And then we'd get others to talk about it too, airing out our dirty laundry, so to speak, our secrets. Because when you have an addiction, like I had a food addiction in the way that I was throwing it up, not eating it and becoming obese, you hide it. I remember going to the beach and I couldn't control it, and I was drinking the milk of this family that we were visiting with, and I filled it up with water because I didn't have money to go replace it. And the little kids, they poured the little kids the milk, and they're like, "This milk tastes funny." I didn't say a word. I did not say a word. So I do know addiction, how awful it is to hide it. Um, but then I got diagnosed with bipolar, so that intermeshed me also at hospitals with other people along the way, psychiatric patients and providers, some good, some not so good. And then also out in the world, once you have this diagnosis, you kind of fit in. I mean, you can pretend you don't have it, possibly, and get away with it for a little bit, but eventually people know that you suffer with it. So it's kind of the AIDS of our century, really, to try to pull these people into the loop, so to speak, because the behaviors can be terrible. I mean, we can have mass shootings. Not very often, considering 1 in 5 people suffer. I was in a meeting with a guy that couldn't tell his work. He made 100,000 a year, so he was very successful at a meeting at NAMI, and his wife was divorcing him because he mortgaged out the house to buy a yacht. That's bipolar. And the thing is like, if you have an angiogram of your heart and it's missing a beat, nobody gets mad at you. But if your brain is missing a beat, people get angry. And I think that's ignorance, just not knowing where that behavior comes from. And I did teach preschool. I was honored to get to teach preschool, the Reggio method. And we give these little kids as much as we can benefit of the doubt that they're learning. But adults are still facing situations that we don't understand. And sometimes we throw temper tantrums. Adults do that. Um, I was lucky to study art. I think my background in mental health helps me to try to understand where people are coming from and not get angry or whatever. Like if they stigmatize me and are not nice to me, like I've had some places be, I'm like they're just ignorant. They don't understand. Um, but I do think art therapy in school would, because people just hide their psychiatric problems or psychological issues because they don't know that there's a solution or an answer, and they just feel like they got to frustrate themselves and suffer with it. But in general, group therapies and art therapy can have you see it so differently, and then you're happier. I mean, life is tough. It's tough for anybody, rich, poor. I've lived on the street, and I know I don't like to sleep on the concrete, so I am so thrilled to have a bed. you know I don't have to have a $500 million house to be that. What a struggle to keep that up. But just to be happy you have a bed and a roof over your head and food to eat. I mean, and people that'll talk to you. And I have seen Black people stigmatized because of their race. I have. Um, I have lived in a world that didn't have a lot of Black people. And one time, this boy in junior high school came over, and I'm not going to say his name, but he was a Black guy, and he was doing the moon rock walk in my house. And we thought he was really cool because he's really the only Black guy we knew. But my grandmommy was there, and she had to leave the house because she was having a panic attack because of the way she had been raised. She couldn't believe we were having a friend, a Black person, in the house. That just didn't happen. So, and I actually have an artist friend that says that the Black people's composition of their skin and fat makes it so they can't swim. This is an international artist that I'm not going to name. That's just not true. And then within my own community, I go to Maymont Park and they have a Caucasian statue of all Caucasian kids on a log. And then I go to the Petersburg Library and they have Caucasian kids sitting on the bench. And if we want to make the situation more pleasant and better for all of us, we're going to have to accept and love our African American children and families, even if their culture is a little different. I think rejection can put up people's defenses. If they're rejected for their skin color at any time in their life, they're going to get defensive. So it's tough. It's tough coming from segregation just in your grandma's. Anyway, I'm talking too long. But yeah, mental health and my art back studying all the artists, because some of the artists were kind of tweaked too. They had issues. Um, the imbalance in the brain sometimes makes creative actions good, trying to pull out the positive to make things more beautiful.